Hello, topics which are likely to appear in upcoming UPSC prelims 2025. So, topic for today's discussion is from medicine section. We'll be decoding a disease which is making headlines. We have seen that every year at least one question is fixed from this aspect. So, from you can say this is a topic which overlaps with biology, biotech, medicine, part of science and technology. So make sure once any you see any disease in making headlines, the standard format to cover that disease remains more or less the same. So you can use this template to, you could say, prepare any disease which is making headlines. So we'll be taking up today a disease which was in news because Indian Council of Medical Research and National Institute of Virology in Mumbai confirmed that there is a case of polio which has been confirmed in state of Meghalaya. So there is nothing to be alarmed about because this is not that some wild strain has once again reappeared. It has been mainly attributed to vaccine-derived poliomyelitis. Because there is a significant risk when you use live attenuated vaccines. At times, the virus retains its pathogenicity and causes polio. But that case is rarest of rare. You could say the frequency. It's almost like in one case in as per we could say out of 1 lakh. So there's nothing to be scared about, but still the disease has made a headline. So we should just go through what exactly is polio. First and foremost thing that you need to cover in disease is what exactly is the causative agent, whether it's a fungal disease, bacterial disease, viral, protozoal, or due to say worms. So in this case, as the name suggests, the polio virus. So there is not much problem in decoding that it falls under category of viruses. The virus is the poliomyelitis virus. So you could even mug up its name. There's no harm in it. Then coming to the types of poliovirus. So if you look back in history, there are three main strains which are attributed to poliovirus, which are commonly denoted by term WP. This WP term stands for wild poliovirus strain 1, strain 2, and strain 3. So out of these strains, due to national as well as global efforts, we have been able to manage two strains specifically. Currently, the wild poliovirus strain 2 and 3 have been eradicated. Now, eradicated is quite an extreme term because when we say term eradicated, it means you can go to any part of the world and you won't find even a single case of that strain. So this milestone was reached of wild polio virus in 1992. In case of 3, it was in 2019-23. So the only main concern which remains is the strain which continues to be endemic in some countries. So from pre perspective, you should be clear which are the two countries in the world where still polio cases are reported annually. And this year also, we have seen one of those countries has already reported more than 50 cases. So they need to emulate model of India, or you could say any WHO prescribed model if this disease has to be eliminated and eradicated from the world. So those two countries are the neighboring countries of India, Pakistan and Afghanistan. So if a question comes, which are the polio endemic countries of the world, you just have to pick polio. You could say Pakistan and Afghanistan. Earlier, Nigeria used to be in the same club, but it has been able to manage the disease of late, and currently, entire African continent has been declared polio eliminated. So, Asia is the only continent where this disease continues to make headlines for all the reasons. Coming to the nature of virus, when you classify virus, there is something unique about them. Viruses are either RNA or DNA. So basically, we can say the viruses which have single-stranded RNA as genetic material are commonly called riboviruses, whereas viruses which have double strands of DNA as genetic material are referred as deoxyviruses. So if examiner wants to confuse you with additional statement, at times you might go into those nitty-gritties. So in this case, you have to memorize that the single-strand RNA is the genetic material polio, so it's referred as ribovirus. Coming to mode of transmission, in NCRTs there is a quite a detailed discussion how diseases are transmitted, and you could say there are various modes. Some diseases are transmitted through insects, which are called vector borne. Some are sexually transmitted diseases. Some are, you could say, fecal-oral route. Some are through droplet or airborne. So in this case, in case of polio, it is the fecal-oral route which is the most common cause of transmission. So unhygienic and poorly sanitized conditions are, you could say, dreaded, which may increase the risk of transmission. Coming to system affected, we have seen that commonly this disease affects children under 5, and the most prominent feature which we see is there is a paralysis of muscles, which is triggered by the, you could say, fault in central nervous system. So in case if they ask which system is mainly affected in case of polio, your answer should be nervous system. Otherwise, in typical disease which are making headlines of late, typically respiratory system was the culprit. So make sure you are able to differentiate the macro system which are associated with the into the vaccine part, which is the positive story in case of polio. There is a vaccine available, and we have seen that in case of India, whether it is pentavalent vaccination or Mission Indradhanush, both are catering to polio virus, and that's the reason we have been able to manage to eliminate polio from India. The oral polio vaccine has been the biggest success story in Indian healthcare. The door-to-door campaign by Asha workers has done something which was not expected a decade ago when we were tackling this disease, because India has the highest population. To eliminate the disease, it takes next level planning and strategy. So in this case, you have to mug up a couple of names of scientists as well, because the oral and the injected polio vaccine, which are the two main modes, they were developed by Sabin and Salk. So if any question appears, what is Salk vaccine, what is Sabin vaccine, you have to pick the polio. Make sure you are able to differentiate the polio vaccine from TB, DPT or MMR vaccine, because these are some other vaccines which are equally effective in tackling the disease. So this is what you have to cover in the vaccine part. And the oral polio vaccine is live attenuated vaccine, in which the live virus is weakened and introduced in body to generate sufficient antibodies. In the injectable one, the dead virus is introduced, so comparatively it is a safer option, but more or less it is considered traumatic, so at times the children carry that mentally. Coming to the treatment part, so this is one of the disease where there is no specific treatment. In majority of viral diseases, only symptomatic treatment is scattered, and this disease is also not accepted. Basically, we can say prevention is better than cure. The only way to tackle this disease is through the widespread use of timely vaccination. And coming to the prevalence part, which we have already discussed, that you should be aware that which strain of polio is still prevalent. You have to pick wild polio virus strain 1. Apart from that, you should also be clear where in the world the polio endemic countries are considered, which are Pakistan and Afghanistan, and what are the criteria, how disease is classified, eliminated, how it is considered eradicated. You should be clear about that. Typically, if there is a population of 10,000 and it's less than one case, for 3 successive years, WHO gives benefit of doubt to the countries that yes, you have been able to eliminate the disease. If that disease becomes eliminated across the continent, then eventually there's no single case left. Only then the extreme term of eradication is. So currently we can say polio is eliminated from most parts of the world, but still there is a long way to go in the eradication step, and constant vigil from WHO as well as national district level should be alert to make this happen, because such diseases which can be prevented by vaccine should not be there in modern society, because they can cripple not only childhood future but also have long lasting impact on the state's economies. So I hope you are now clear with the basic facts regarding polio as a disease. If you have any doubt which has not been catered in this specific session, feel free to ask them in comment section. We will try to revert to genuine queries, and we will like to address them one priority. So I hope this session was useful in some way to update your knowledge about polio as a disease. We'll be back shortly with another informative video on